Hey, man, we should have somebody run up in here now, reenacting like, what the fuck?
That would be perfect.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Or it'd be one of the things where people always say Big be fucking around, and it really go down the second time. I'm like, oh, shit.
You ever have anybody accuse you of faking something?
All the time.
Really?
Phone taps are fake. You know what I'm saying? Like the phone taps that I do, oh, are those fake? Like,
Really?
Like, yeah, especially early on. I've been in radio long enough where it was a lot of shit before actual, YouTube and you know what I'm saying? So a lot of the stuff I would get questioned on. I still have a joke that I did with Be Real from Cypress Hill for April Fool's Day. We did that shit like 20 years ago.
Okay.
People still put it up.
And what was it?
It was us having a fist fight on air. And to this day, people like, man, it pop up every probably 3 to 6 months.
Wow.
Every time. Even when we did it, that the year we did it, we planned it, we were going to do it, so on and so forth. When we did it, it sounds so real on air. And pull it up when you get a moment.
Okay.
It sounds so real on air that his homies was coming to get me and my homies was coming to get him.
So everybody pulls this up and they're like, man, Big Boy, Be Real,
To this
getting
day,
it in.
yeah, to this day, it's like, man, you want to Be Real cool? Like, what the fuck? And it seemed like every 6 months somebody had like uploaded again, and we got to put it out. You know what I'm
There's
saying?
like an old viral like Jay-Z clip that always comes out where he like mushes a girl's face in, I think. And it's from like an old movie. I forget which movie, but it's not something that actually happened. But you don't think of Jay-Z as an actor, so it's hard for people to conceive
And people
of it.
regurgitate shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, look at this. Because I know I still look at stuff. I just saw something where Tyler, the Creator, gets tackled on stage with Gucci Mane.
That was fake?
And no, it wasn't fake,
okay.
but I'm looking at this like, damn, what the hell happened? And I'm like,
Right.
oh, I got to see what's up. And that shit was for like 4, 5, 6 years ago. I'm about to put it up like, oh, man, we need to put this out.
I was thinking that at first too, but then I realized that Gucci was clearly like 100 pounds more than he is right now.
But we don't even look for all those receipts. You know what I'm saying?
But
Like,
isn't that funny that we're so trained to catch the fake shit now?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And you know what's crazy? Now I look at shit, man, and I'm like, I don't believe nothing. You know what I'm saying? Even when your situation went down, the first thing people think was, oh, it was set up. You already got such great shit established that I don't, you know what I'm saying? I don't really see you where you sat down and said, hey, man, this is what we gonna do.
Right.
You
You know
already
what?
had the viewers. That's some shit I would do. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's something I would do. Like, man, how do we get up to like 900,000 people looking at
But
us?
that had crossed our mind before where someone was like, yo, we should do a fake video where somebody comes in and steals your chain. And I was
Right.
like, I don't want to encourage any bullshit because, then people might start thinking, is that really a good idea? The only video that we ever really faked back here was Fat Boy SSC
Yeah.
dumped a soda on my head.
And he does that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And we look at that and we know. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? We know that that's how he get down. But yeah, everything we look at now, everything is it fake?
I read the craziest sentence just on your Wikipedia, and I'm sure this is old news to your hardcore fans, but when it just says that Big Boy came in the game as a bodyguard for Farside.
Yeah, man.
And I was
Yeah.
like, holy shit, that's some rare hip-hop history
man.
right there.
I was a bodyguard for Farside. I was out on the road with Tupac, everything. You know what I'm saying? But Farside was like my group. Those were the ones that I came up with. Those are the guys that I looked out for. I was, a martial artist over 400 something pounds. You know what I'm saying? And I had a level head. So when it was time for us to go out, I bodyguarded the Farside.
So you were just a kid who was into martial arts growing up in LA?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Into a lot of shit in LA. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
yeah.
But it was like I always wanted to be around entertainment. And so when I saw an opportunity, Paul Stewart, DJP? Paul Stewart was one of the guys that was putting everybody on like Cypress and he was working with Coolio and everything. So Farside was like his find as well.
Okay.
And so when it came down to the Farside had some situation in New York where certain things happened. So they was like, man, next time we go out, we're gonna take some people with me. So they took me and another dude by the name of Seal. I was like the level head. And Seal was like the time bomb.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, those are my guys, man, to this day.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? To this day, bro.
And you know what's crazy is that Farside is still relevant in the sense that on the new Juice WRLD album, he samples Runnin', and people are like, going back and being like, oh, like the young kids are like, oh, that's this song.
You know what I love about that too, man, is that when you do get people that keep our homies relevant as well. You know what I'm saying?
Nice,
And it's
right?
not cheesy and it's not, because we get so many people that's talking shit now. You know what I'm saying? And when you do see somebody, especially like Juice WRLD, that go.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that understood and understands what that history is too. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Even if it was somebody that brought up, the producer even just brought it to him. You know what I'm saying? And he didn't quite know what it was. Who knows? You know what I'm saying? But just to go ahead, do his homework or pay homage or just keep it on there, that shit is dope as hell to me.
Because once in a while, as a guy who's seen so much in hip hop, do you ever feel like sometimes, I know it's kind of cliche, but you see the history of hip hop not necessarily being recognized by the new generation, and it feels like sometimes they just don't give a shit. And then when you see certain songs or samples making comebacks, like even Tribe Called Quest, I feel like it's had like a resurgence over the past year when you see De La Soul dealing with their issues with a label and people actually care and are going out of their way to help in the situation. How do you feel the younger generation is doing in terms of their reverence of the culture that you grew up
You know
with?
what, man? I'm just, at one point when we were the younger generation, there's probably some people that looked at us and say, oh, man, they're not taking care of it. Or they're not giving us such and such. Because I've been in the game long enough where I seen the new school become the old school.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I remember Nelly going at KRS-One. You know what I'm saying?
Who's this Nelly
kid?
Yeah.
And so now I just feel like, of course now that, I'm up on the upper end. I'm 25 years in the radio. You know what I'm saying? Probably day one damn near hip hop. You know what I'm saying? I wish that we took care of it a little bit more and cherished it for what it was. Because you don't see like a lot of the rock heads saying, "Oh man, fuck Aerosmith," or fuck, you know what I'm saying? And not that it's straight fuck, but I'm starting to see a little bit more disrespect. You know what I'm saying? And I think because we getting a little bit more, removed from what we called, like the Mount Rushmores and the hip hop heads and the guys that really put it on. But I mean, it's a sign of the time too. You know what I'm saying? It's up to us to continue to educate in a certain way where we don't want to be somebody's parents. You know what I'm saying? You got to sneak the message in sometimes. And then when I do interviews, there's people that I speak to and I say, okay, they get it. But my job isn't to just beat you over the head with all this fucking hip hop knowledge and shit. Like my job is I got to be just enoughs.
Right.
I got to handle all the enoughs. I got to be, today enough, yesterday enough, hip hop enough, funny enough, culture enough, black enough, Latino enough, this enough. So I got to handle all the enoughs.
Okay, very, very interesting. I'm very interested to talk to you about your interview style and how you perceive yourself in that way. But let's just talk a little bit more about, okay, so the Tupac connection. Do you remember when you met him or how that was being on the road and stuff?
I remember I knew Pac before I got into like radio and everything, man, because a partner of mine, his mom was active in the Black Panthers as well.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So anytime I would see Pac, it was away from the I Get Arounds and Brenda's Got a Baby days. You know what I'm saying? It was early on. So once I got into a little bit more of taking care of like the Far Side and rolling, then that's when the I Get Around and the Brenda Got a Baby Pac was going. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Pre-death row.
A little bit more fun.
Yeah,
People forget about the stages of his career.
Yeah, man, and just seeing, what that felt like and knowing, people go to Pac now and a lot of people go to Pac and I love that, but it's posthumously, which is cool. You know what I'm saying? But knowing and seeing Pac, I knew that Pac was already a star. I knew that he was a revolutionary. I knew that he was very intelligent, bro. You know what I'm saying? I knew a lot that people had a chance to kind of get after Pac passed. But I knew how intelligent. I remember one time, Adam, we were in Seattle, Washington, right? And the Far Side, it was like this radio show. And after the show was over, we all had to get into one van. Pac, his transportation wasn't there, so we was like, "Oh, Pac, get in with us." Pac was huge still at this time. You know what I'm saying? It was before Death Row and the blow up. This is I Get Around, and like girls loving Pac.
Right.
So 30,000 people at this show. We get Pac in the van, Far Side's in the van. So we got the two headliners in the van. We're rolling, and the girl that was driving, she must have been so like, "Oh shit, this is Pac." That traffic was bad. Pac told her. He said, pull over to the other side and drive against traffic to get us out of here. Okay, Pac, she pulls over, starts driving. Police are like, what the fuck? They pull us over. So while we're sitting in the van, I'm trying to tell the police officers, hey, I got the headliners. This is Pac. This is this. They're not trying to hear shit I got to say. So Pac is in the van, and he fires up this joint, right? And right when he fires up a joint, there's a little girl that's looking into the van. And you can see us. And she said, oh, and then Pac put his hand out the window, and he touched her. And he pulled her in, and he said, hey, you saw me doing something that you shouldn't have saw me do. He said, this is a secret between you and me. And the girl was like about 9, and I remember she was looking up like, You know what I'm saying? But watching him have that moment with her and what that meant, and it probably meant a lot to her then because I could tell by the look on her face, but remove that now to where she is now. She probably remember that story the same way that I'm telling this story. But I remember the moment that he had with her.
Right.
And how special that was and how it was just one-on-one. And there's times when I reflect back to that when I get a moment with somebody where if somebody see me, oh, you see me tripping, or you see me in a such and such, you know, he had a moment with her. And I enjoyed watching shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Just moments, you know, and taking little pieces and like, man, you know, and you whatever you're doing in life, it starts to build your character as well. And watching how certain artists treat people made me treat people a certain way.
Really?
You know what I'm saying? Because I was already a human being before I was Big Boy. And I saw a lot of human being shit before I got on.
You seem like a very, very humble person.
I'm Ida's son, bro.
What's that?
Ida's son. That's the way my mom raised me.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's me all day. I'm Ida's son before I'm Big Boy. I'm Ida's son before I was Kurt Alexander. You know what I'm saying?
Did you ever feel as if you went through time periods where you were struggling with that, where your ego started to consume you?
I hope not. I don't think so. You know what I'm saying? Jose, bring me something to drink. No, just playing. No, just can you bring me something to drink?
Can you tell Chris to give me my phone?
Yeah,
as long as we're ordering people around, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so, man, because you got to have people that can, you know, I'm not going to take any shit, but that's as a human being. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to take no shit because I'm Big Boy.
Right.
It's because I'm a human being. You know what I'm saying? But I've always been, I mean, I work. You know what I'm saying? I work. I'm a dad. I'm a husband. I'm a brother. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a human being first, you know, and you got to care about people because no matter what I do in radio, if I'm Big Boy from this radio station, you know, or Big Boy from, you know, from Power 106 and Big Boy from Real 92.3 and Big Boy from iHeart and all that, I'm a human being first. Right. So if I wasn't Big Boy from the radio, then if people like me and I'm cool, whatever, I'd be the cool ass janitor if I was a janitor at the school. I'd be the cool ass construction worker, you're the cool ass teacher. I'm just gonna be who I am anyway, no matter what it is. I just add water and I grow into whatever the fuck I have to grow into.
Before you were ever on radio, so did you always have the gift of gab prior to, were you always a talker?
Very much so.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Very much so.
Normally security guards aren't supposed to be the talkers.
Yeah, that's why I didn't last long. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That's why, you know how when you sitting there, you're like, man, I could do this shit. You know what I'm saying? So, I always been, not like the look at me. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not even how I got into radio. It wasn't look at me or I could do this shit. I just always enjoyed people. You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't the overweight fat guy that was, you know what I'm saying? I was very, you know, good in my skin. I was cool as a motherfucker. I wasn't, you know, being punked out. I just always had fun. And I always liked being around people. So when I got into radio, it was like, you know, like, damn, I could talk to people and do a living off of this. And radio was the first real job I ever had in my life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I got into radio at like 23, 24 years of age. Okay. And that whole time, you know, it was other shit that I was doing that, you know what I'm saying? That, you know, I you know, you know what I'm saying?
Kid,
yeah, you know what I'm saying? So when I got into radio, I was like, dude, this is an easy fucking hustle.
That
you know,
that's what it was. That's a weird moment when you're like, so I can just be myself and talk about stuff.
And it was a hustle because I had been a hustler my whole life. So I was like, wait, they pay you to do this and you can, you know, I'm like, man, fuck this. I'm never letting this shit go.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's why I do what I do, because I'm motivated by fear as well. I've been homeless. I've been broke. I've been everything under the sun, bro.
Really? When you were young, or have you been on a consistent upward trajectory since you got into this radio
upwards
game?
Now?
Right.
Upwards. You know what I'm saying? It's just, you know, growing up, it was my mom, 7 kids. You know what I'm saying? Our dad wasn't around. My mom worked hard. But, you know, you get on these slippery slopes where things happen. You know what I'm saying? My mom wasn't in drugs and it wasn't men around. It was just her with 7 kids trying to do the best for us. You know what I'm saying? And we did get behind. We got homeless. We lived in a mission. You know, we were on the street. We were living with other people. But those kind of things too, Adam, man, those things, they really ground you.
Right.
And they really get you to where you really start taking care of you and yourself and your family, and realize, what structure is and what I'm learning and what I'm teaching my kids as well.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, there's always that temptation when you really think about it. The worst things that happen to your life are your defining moments where you sort of realize who you want to be.
Yeah, teach you character too.
Yeah, when you're doing your best, when you're at your highs in your career, is almost like I get like a little bit of a second sense that I shouldn't trust how I feel right now. Yeah. Because I never want to drink my own Kool-Aid. I never really want to believe that I'm the shit, even if I have a moment where it feels like I'm the shit.
Right. And you know what I do sometimes, man, is that I'll sit in the car or I'm on air and I'm like, yes, I said. Then I'm like, damn. I'm like, people are listening right now. That's crazy to me. To this day, it's still crazy that people say, audience. Can I get a picture with you? That's fucking crazy to me, man.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Even sitting down saying, hey, big, like even rolling up here today. It's crazy that people want to talk to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, or somebody that does this show, like you're on my calendar and I know I got to come. Oh man, I got to get with Adam. It trips me out that I'm on their schedule.
Right.
Like, I mean, we got to go do Big Boy tomorrow.
Doing this podcast has just been that over and over and over. It's like, holy shit, I can get Master P to talk to me. Yeah. Somehow I figured out a way.
And I'm telling you, bro, people fuck with you, though.
I appreciate that. And that is so shocking. And the bigger that my shit gets, the more weird it feels, just in the sense of like I feel kind of baffled that YG asked me to go to the studio the other day and wants to do like a project with us. That's just like, I don't feel like I should be getting that level of respect.
But you know what it is too, though, fam? Is people gravitate towards you because there's no bullshit veil in front of you. You know what I'm saying? What you know. But you got your hand on some shit before we even have our hands on it, and people trust you. You know what I'm saying? And it's not like this exploitation bullshit. I remember the first person that really put me on to you was Travis Barker.
Oh wow, that's
awesome.
And
Travis was like, and I was like, man. And then I just went into what they call the rabbit hole. I'm just looking at your shit like, what? And then what I do, and I'm gonna tell you straight up, and I you probably didn't grab this when I saw you in wherever we at for Kanye thing.
I saw you at the
was it in Wyoming?
Kid Cudi album release. Okay. Yeah, I did see you in Wyoming, but I didn't get a chance to talk to you. But then we met each other at the Kid Cudi thing.
I take a lot of temperature from who you have on.
Right.
When I see something that you have early, I'm like, okay, I gotta watch this shit. And then I know in a month, 2, 3, 6 months, that person's gonna pop.
But do you love that aspect of your job still, is going down the rabbit hole and like looking into somebody, getting ready for an interview, learning about people?
You know what, man? I don't do a lot of research.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because I kind of want to talk to you on the surface, and not that I want to sit there and say, oh, how's your brother? You're like, oh man, my brother died. Like, oh shit, I didn't know that. You know what I'm saying? But I like to have generic conversation. I don't want to have a gang of notes, and I don't want to come in and, you know what I'm saying? We sitting down.
Right.
We talking. You know what I'm saying? You probably looked at something on me and it was enough. You know what I'm saying?
I was thinking about that. And, that's one problem with you, is that it's hard to Google you. Because I went on YouTube and I typed in Big Boy interview, and all of a sudden it's just a wall of interviews that you had done.
Right. Like,
and then I was like, you know what? I don't need to watch a fucking interview with him anyway. I'm going to go through his Wikipedia, just get my mind wrapped around his career trajectory, and then we'll just go from there.
And that's the way you build.
You don't want to be, I like Nardwuar a lot. Yeah. But sometimes I feel like Nardwuar knows so much about the person from early on that creates like a division between him and the audience.
Right.
Because the audience doesn't know any of these things.
Yeah, and my thing is, I want to just have a conversation. Let's have a conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I have an interview that's so inside with you, you know what I'm saying? Or I'm trying to show you how much of a historian, or how much I know of. It's like, nah, fuck it.
It's
you
kind
know
of like
a
useless flex, because most of the audience doesn't really care about the stuff that you're specialized in knowing.
And my thing is, when I have an interview with someone as well, I talk about the album this much. You know what I'm saying? And then we'll talk about everything. Albums and so whoop-de-whoop. But I don't get into a lot of the, we'll talk, but it's a break.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I just like having a conversation. You know what I'm saying?
So how did you, once you started doing the on-camera stuff, what was the rise to where you're at now? I mean, obviously it's been 25 years, but it's just kind of incredible that you've managed to accomplish so much. How did you separate yourself from the pack in terms of just there being so many other people trying to make it in radio? How did you develop your own personal brand?
There's a million people, and it's not braggadocious. There's a million people, but there's me. There's Big Boy. You know what I'm saying? I can't be you. You can't be me. You know what I'm saying? So I can't worry about if the field is, there's a lot of people on the field. All I could do is me. You know what I'm saying? And the way I started radio was when I started at Power, it was a dude by the name of Rick Cummins, and he told me, he said, just go in there, be who you are. He said, I could teach you radio, but I can't teach you to be a personality. He said, you have a personality. He said, just go in there and remember the station is called Power 106. I went in, that's it. All I can do is be me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if I could just be me and I don't have to be this character and I don't have to put on a cape, then that's easy as hell. Right. All I gotta do, I can get up, I could be me with my eyes closed, with my eyes wide open, with, I can roll out of bed and be big boy. I don't have to like, oh shit, I gotta go into this big boy thing. You know, that's just me. So when it came down to whatever the longevity, I don't look at it. I don't look in the rearview mirror about what's behind me. I look, forward at what's ahead of me. You know what I'm saying? Like we can't win, today's game by just, yesterday's stats and points. And remember when we, remember we had like,
see, that's the crazy thing. I feel that way too. Is like when I have to do an interview that I'm excited about, it's the easiest thing in the world. When I have to do an interview that I'm just toughing it out, that I didn't really want to do, that's when I have to kind of put a face on and really look into it and stuff. Like when I do a lot of research or notes for an interview, it's usually because I'm covering up for an insecurity of like my lack of knowledge.
When you start really looking.
Right. Well, part of it was like, I interviewed Wyclef, and it was like, I'm familiar with Wyclef. I've listened to the Fugees growing up and everything like that. But there's also like a big burden there where it's like, if I don't know enough about Wyclef, then I'm going to look disrespectful because his work has been very important.
And it's been there.
Yeah. And if I had been like, so, Haiti, what's going on over there?
Yeah.
Like,
well, talk to me about this Fuggies.
Heard you had some issues.
Yeah, but no, and there's sometimes when you do have to look a little bit more, but it's out of respect. You know what I'm saying? Some of the stuff is out of respect as well, man. But when I go into an interview, I try to just have enough to get me through, not enough to fake it, because I'm not faking it. I'm just intrigued by who's coming in. Yeah. And then when I do interviews as well, Adam, it's I pick and choose. You know what I'm saying? It's it's who I want to interview for whatever reason. And just with us, you talk to a lot of the younger end as well. I get people, man, I have a history of LA radio and now national and international radio. You know what I'm saying? But I do get people like, what the fuck he doing in there? You know what I'm saying? It's
people
like,
still don't know about you.
Not me, the artist.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck? Oh, man, big, why the fuck you interviewing? Like,
I mean, it can be a hard decision to make, though, because there are so many up-and-coming artists. Like, what do you feel like you're really looking for? Are you looking for the conversation?
I'm looking for the conversation.
Someone who's good at
Definitely.
talking.
I'm looking for the conversation. I'm looking for, being intrigued. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking, and then there's different tiers of the interview. I'm looking for, is this on air?
Right.
Is this viral?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm looking for somebody that I can have some conversation with, as opposed to, how you doing? Fine. Well, good. I'm like, oh man, this thing, you know what I'm saying?
And that's the weird thing, is that these days, a lot of times those are the big interviews. Like if you get I don't want to throw Playboy Cardi under the bus, but I've seen him do some interviews with some people who I'm pretty sure were pretty excited to get a Playboy Cardi interview because he's so popular. And then he sort of just one-words them down. And the thing, I've seen you do it too, where they're not talking too much, so you start going on your own little rants. You talk for a minute, and then you get 5 seconds out of them, and then you talk for a minute again.
I just had Rich the Kid. Rich the Kid, dude, he was so bright-eyed and bushy, and I was like, man, he's ready. But then when we started, it was, I'm like, fuck. And it wasn't disrespectful. It wasn't like, he wasn't answering. He just wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So it was just like,
My Rich the Kid interview is bizarre as
really?
well.
And that wasn't my first one. You know what I'm saying? It was just that one. I was just like, Like, shit,
yeah, it's a weird thing when that happens.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt like you had any like true disasters, the worst ones on camera that you just wish didn't even happen?
Nah, not crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because we pretty much, if it's there, we put it up. You know what I'm saying? There's some that wasn't on air that I was just like, oh, okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was whatever. You know?
Yeah.
But on air, and then plus, I think people too, they walk in and they know where they are. We create a good room. You know what I'm saying? We're not there to kind of like fuck you up and beat up the artist, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, if we gotta ask the questions, we'll ask it, but we not there to just tear you apart. You know what I'm saying?
Do you ever look at Charlamagne and you're like, wow, he's crazy? On some of the shit he says.
Charlemagne was crazier. You know what I'm saying? At
true.
one point, and he would. I think Charlemagne would say the same. I love how Charlemagne, because there's sometimes, I'm gonna tell you straight up, Adam, when I go to ask a question, sometimes I just get this little bit of heat where it's like, damn, I gotta ask this shit. You know what I'm saying? It seemed like Charlemagne just be like, I can't wait to ask this shit. You know what I'm saying? But I think he does well at what he does, and then everybody can't be a Charlemagne. Like when he went in, Charlemagne went so hard and had lane that it almost fucked up guests and everything too. You know, but then it's easier to take your afro and trim it down to any haircut that you want. You know what I'm saying? It's easier to pull somebody back as opposed to push them forward. So I think with Charlemagne, it was easier to pull him back, and now he's like, oh, okay, yeah.
See, there's a lot of truth to that. When you're young, when you're first just getting started, is when there's a real value in it for you to make your name by doing something crazy. And then as time goes by, you start to be a little bit more thoughtful about maintaining relationships.
And then that's when we start getting, I miss the old. Oh, I miss the old, such and such. I miss the old, such and such.
They hit you with that?
You know what? I'll get more like when I interview some of like I just had Kid Boo?
Yeah.
I just had Boo.
Good
you know
guy.
what I'm saying?
Good guy, yeah.
Yeah, and dude, we had a great interview.
Really?
But I had people, what you doing with him in there? You know what I'm saying? Bad baby, why that bitch in there? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, I like talking to people.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm Big Boy. I didn't make them famous.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
You know,
Like,
Bad Baby is famous. It's not my fucking fault. It's my job to contextualize who's famous.
You in there interviewing people with no talent. Like, if that's the case, I've been interviewing some people with no talent my whole career. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on now. I interview. You know what I'm saying? I don't produce them. I ain't the fathers and shit.
Do you pay attention to the ratings on the radio, or do you pay attention to the YouTube views? What do you pay attention to?
I don't really watch any of my interviews.
Okay.
And because once it's up there, what can I do about it?
Right, exactly,
I don't read comments
I don't
and
watch
all that
it
shit.
for sure. But are you concerned? Are you judging yourself based on like the radio numbers?
Not at all.
No.
Nah, because those are up and down, and I can't gauge my so-called success off of, you know what I'm saying? I just I don't walk out in the mall and hear people go, big boy, and be like, oh, I'm validated.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I get up, bro, and it's like a graduation walk. I just put one foot in front of the other. You know what I'm saying? And my thing is, I just try to make today better than yesterday and tomorrow better than today. And I don't trip off of what everybody else is tripping off of, bro. If that was the case for 25 years of radio, I'd be dead. You know what I'm saying? Just off the fucking stress. I don't let it stress me out.
Right. Man, that's crazy. Yeah, I just feel like, you being in the game for so long, that it must have been so interesting going through these transformations in radio, like this transition into the internet, which you seem like you've navigated pretty well, all things considered.
Yeah, because you're a dinosaur yourself. You know what I'm saying? Everything has changed since I got into radio. When I first got into radio, commercials was on carts and we was slicing, reel to reels and all that shit.
All these skills that you don't need anymore.
Yeah, and if I would have been like, no, man, I gotta keep on these reel to reels, they'd be like, man, well, you out the game.
Yeah.
Then once we went computerized, all that shit. So now the only thing that fucked me up about today's radio is that now your radio show has turned into a TV show.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Radio used to be like, fuck it, I'm going in. Now I'm like, fuck, I gotta shave. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why when I saw you today, I'm like, man, he growing his shit in. I can do that shit. Like me, I gotta fucking shave. And,
you used to be able to go to the radio station in sweatpants and looking like a bum, just doing whatever.
I still will walk in because now our show is on Fuse as well, every day too. So now there's another element, but I still walk in there fucked up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm good. Right. And I would rather people see me with my perfect, imperfections than filter face and all that kind of shit. So I'm like,
well, I mean, that's also probably one of the benefits of being 49.
You notice I curse a lot.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, okay.
No, but being 49, you also have kind of gone through that where you're like, you know what, I'm post sexiness. My sexy part of my life is over. I get to just be me now.
My thing is this, man. I had never been sexy anyway, so
it's never your look.
Yeah, I don't even know how to explore that shit.
I'm really interested in that though. It's like, to what extent was your obesity part of your personality, or how did that shape you as a younger person? And it's interesting that you're always into martial arts, but then you're also extremely heavy. Like,
yeah. It's a trip, man. I had been heavy so long that I didn't know not being heavy. So I wasn't like the depressed heavy guy, and I wasn't the being teased heavy guy. I was always the one you wanted to be around, and I wasn't funny by being
self-deprecating stuff.
Yeah, like, and I would have fun with me, but it wasn't, let me say it before you say it, I wasn't 8 Mile in myself. You know what I'm saying? So, but when I got to 3 and 4, and my biggest weight, Adam, was over 500 pounds, right?
Wow.
But at 500 pounds, I was so happy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I know it may sound crazy, but I was, I could accommodate being 500 pounds. And that's what was scary about it. If I needed to drive, I can get the bigger car. If I needed a suit, I can, I had a tailor. If I had, I was accommodating. I was so good in my skin.
You had made it work. You figured it out. Yeah.
Yes,
A way
man.
to
And then
exist.
I was big boy. I made
That's your
people
identity,
enjoy this big 500-pound guy. Like now I look at it and I'm like, what the fuck? But at the time, like even when I went to go lose weight, I even thought like, am I gonna lose a part of me? Am I gonna lose my, am I gonna lose what big boy? And then I was like, you know what, bro? It's not gonna mean anything because you're gonna be dead anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I really felt that if I did, and I'm talking about, I'm big boy, I'm having fun, I'm this, and then at some point you say, okay, do you have more years behind you than you have in front of you? And when you thought about it, I was like, do I see any 60-year-old, 500-pound men walking around? And if they are they unassisted?
Right.
And that answered my question right there, man, that nothing tastes better than life. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't like I had high blood pressure. I had diabetes, and I was just, you got to do this. It was just something. My mom passed at 57, right? And even when my mom passed, it wasn't like a light that just came on. We was having homies die and this, that, and the other, but mine was kind of like a dimmer. It was like this slow switch that went up, and then I was like, you got to get it together. This before my kids and everything.
So there wasn't some moment where the doctor told you got to stop.
I heard that in my whole life, bro.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you gotta, at 9, it was like, hey, you're starting to gain some weight there, Kurt.
So you had surgery, but then I'm sure you also had to make like a lot of lifestyle changes.
A lot of lifestyle changes, bro. I had gastric bypass surgery like I'm going on 16 years now.
Wow, that's so much longer than I thought. That's crazy.
Yeah, and what's crazy about it too, fam, is that I still walk by and I look at my reflection and be like, oh shit.
I was thinking that I don't really remember Big Boy as a fat guy very well.
That's great. And it's a trip. I wasn't even fat. I was big.
Yeah. You didn't feel fat?
No, I was big boy.
Right.
That was the other kid. I would have been fat boy. No, but yeah, it's crazy because I'll look at old pictures and I'm still that guy. And then I'll look at pictures of me now and I'm this guy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I would look at like I don't know what size pants you wear, right?
36.
36, all right? I was a size 66 pants. I was an 8X shirt. And when you get that size, you just say the number in the X. But that's extra, 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 extra large. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I would buy my gear and do everything like it was nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like I would walk on the beach and walk in the pool with my shirt off. Dude, I took my shirt off more at 500 pounds than I would ever take my shirt off today.
Right.
I was,
Because had you fully just accepted it as part of your identity?
It was just me.
You weren't self-conscious about
Not
it
at all,
that
bro.
point, yeah.
It was just me. And it was crazy because all my pictures, if you looked at pictures of my growing up, all you saw was pictures of me getting bigger.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It was just like, oh, okay, well, damn, I was like 13 there.
Right.
I was like 15 there. All you saw was pictures of me getting bigger.
So how is your outlook on taking care of yourself changed over time? Are you somebody who's like happy to eat a healthy meal every day now?
Man. And
that all kind of was part of it?
I still I still crash the car. Like I just had to get back on my grind and everything now. You know what I'm saying? Because I started eating beef and you know what I'm saying? Which I eat, but I just started to feel like I was getting off course.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And when I get off course, then I'll go back to my green juices and you know what I'm saying? Just shut myself down.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like because I only get one me.
Yeah.
And now that I'm getting older, it's like you can start to feel shit.
Do you feel like when you lost the weight that it was a process of you starting to love yourself more in a way? Because I can't help but feel like, I said that to my girlfriend recently. I was like, if I gained 50 pounds, you would assume and you would be correct that I definitely would be at a low point in my life. Like something negative would have to happen to me in order for me to let myself gain a bunch of weight.
But I didn't gain 50 pounds.
You just were
immediately.
That already.
You know what I'm saying? Like if right now, whatever weight you are right now, right? If you lost 30, 40, 50 pounds, which you probably don't even need to lose.
But don't you think everybody, if I lost 40 pounds, everybody would be looking at me like, damn, like he's killing it. Like people have this thing
people
where
don't know how good, people don't tell you, like I got so many nows. Like, man, you look so good now. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? You know what I'm saying?
So
like,
I was looking like shit before.
Yeah,
Okay.
or man, I'm so glad you're taking care of yourself now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I got the nows.
Yeah.
But I didn't look, you know, it's a trip. I still, like I wrote a book and I still kind of look back at him and I say, there's still times where I was like, dude, were you really happy?
Yeah.
And I really like, yeah, you were. Then I'm like, dude, okay, are you tripping? Were you happy or were you? And I was like, no, dude, like even my team, my homies, everything, they would be like, no, Kurt, big, no, you was happy, homie.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Am I happier now? I couldn't imagine, and this not on any, I'm talking about me. I couldn't imagine being 500 pounds and trying to take care of my kids or walking my kids into a school, you know, because now I'm on the other side and I see, you know, I was one of them people too, Adam, where I didn't fuck around either. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't play mama jokes. I don't do, you know what I'm saying? So I was one of those where we could play around, but I also will fuck you up too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so people knew that. I wasn't like the fat punk. I wasn't a bitch ass, all that kind of stuff. So now, so I didn't hear a lot of the crazy shit. You know what I'm saying? But now that I'm on the other side, I'm like, I hear a lot of the prejudice and the crazy shit and how comfortable people can get. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm at the white people dinner table, you know, when we leave and shit. Like, oh, okay. You know what I'm saying?
As a non-obese person now? Yeah,
exactly,
okay.
bro. Easy call.
Wow, that's really interesting. Yeah, because I mean, that is like a weird moment that society is going through in a way where there's this whole movement to stop body shaming.
Yeah,
to
man.
the point where I've seen people post photos like, look how much weight I lost, and people are like, this is triggering people who are dealing with their weight. Like, you shouldn't be shaming people for this.
When I was 500 pounds, I was the biggest body shamer to everybody. I talked so much shit. You know what I'm saying?
About just
even
fat
the homies,
people, or?
yeah, even the homies that was like 250, I'd be like, man, you fat motherfucker. Like, what the fuck? Like, really? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, okay. Like, man, you need to slow down. They're like, oh, okay. Like, all right, you ain't got no mirrors in your house? Like, the hell?
Right. So, as a citizen of hip hop, that's kind of interesting thing to me is just how do you view the culture as a whole and how you care about it? Because it's sort of, you know, when you look at people who are working in rap, there's this conversation that's constantly happening about the culture and being, you know, a true fan of rap and what that means and everything. It's interesting to me, like, what keeps you so attached to the actual hip hop culture as a guy who realistically you're removed from a lot of the reasons why you were so into it in the first place. You know, you're not just on the block with your friends listening to music and stuff. Like, what still keeps you passionate about the
you know
world
what
that
it
you're
is,
part
man? I still consume it. I'm still with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not putting on a ski mask and robbing from the culture and shit because I helped build it. You know, and I think I care about it more than a lot of other people. And it's crazy because when I worked at Power and now that I work at Real, and, you know, I would get people say, man, what y'all know about hip hop? People don't know what kind of hip hop card I really have and what I can recite and who I fuck with. You know what I'm saying? And so when I fast forward to today, I'm more concerned about how we preserve it. You know what I'm saying? Like, take care of what we taking care of today. That's why I don't hate on nobody that's doing something today, because at one point, everybody probably got some kind of hate. There's always been different, you know, all these mumble rappers. Okay, well, what about the people that did the Pee Wee dance and did the dance records? And then you had the Public Enemy doing this. And so, you know, so there's always been different tiers amongst the genre. I just don't want us to, we let so much in right now that I don't want us to fuck up our genre, like blow it up from the inside. Because at one point, it was so many people that was trying to explode. I don't want us now that we have it to implode. Like just us just fucking it up, or us beating up on each other. And you know what I'm saying? Like, this thing has gotten bigger than, I can't say anyone imagined, but this thing has gotten bigger than anyone has imagined. I remember getting suspended from school for freestyling.
Really?
I remember when I would go to the concerts and it was all black. You know what I'm saying? Then it became black and brown. Now you go to a hip hop show, Adam, And I remember one time I was rolling past this hip hop show and I said, man, if I just recorded this crowd, you wouldn't know what show I was going to.
Yeah.
But that's where, that's the evolution of this thing that we call hip hop, But whatever it is, man, I just want, if it's, the real got to stay real. I think we all got to keep our hands on the wheel.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because if not, then, if we take our hands off the wheel, it'll crash.
It's weird because in this moment,
it's not too big to fuck up.
We all kind of take it for granted that rap is the most popular form of music right now, whereas for the majority of both of our hip hop fandom life, it hasn't been number one, and you were sort of looking at rap as like, an up and coming style of music that to me it was always number one because I couldn't really conceive of being that big of a fan of anything else. But now, like, being in this position, it is interesting. Like, because I remember even 5 years ago when EDM was really having its moment, and I was just like thinking about it in that weird way, like, man, this is going to be interesting. Like, what if rap starts to take a back seat more and EDM really becomes a thing? Because I'm so culturally out of touch with EDM that there's just no chance I could bullshit my way into pretending to be a real fan.
When you look at that, that's the way people looked at hip hop. So I really think like, damn, could it have been EDM?
Yeah.
Because it was a fad. It wasn't gonna last. It wasn't real music. And now you look and it's the biggest fucking genre, the biggest part of music in the entire world, bro. And I remember what it used to look like and how taboo it was and how how people look down on it. You know what I'm saying? Now you fucking watching Reynolds Rap's commercials and every TV show and this, that, and the other, and everybody's rhyming.
And so much of the cultural conversation is based around rap in the sense that, like, if some rapper says something that's offensive, it's like, it's news because he's a rapper.
Hey, man, I remember years ago, the Far Side got offered a Sprite commercial. And I remember the Far Side was like, nah, dude, we're not going to do it, dude. That's how you sell out, dude.
Yeah.
And they didn't do it. And then fucking Tribe Called Quest, like all they homies did it.
Right.
But now you wouldn't even think twice about, possibly if it felt right to you, putting your brand with something else or a Sprite of the world or something like that coming, because they know the numbers that we do. You know what I'm saying? They know the influence that we have. We just got to be, not just the influencer. We got to make sure that we, pretty much own what we're doing as well. And I don't mean as black men. I'm talking about us in the culture of this. You know what I'm saying? Because there's so many people that paid our tuition into the school of experience. You know what I'm saying? We got to know better. We got to do better. And I think that with this thing called hip hop and the genre that we love and the genre that we're taking care of, we got to continue to make sure that we do take care of it, that we don't beat up our younger artists and beat up our older artists for any kind of differences, this, that, and the other, man. Because if we all just came together, and I'm not saying like we are the world and we all in the studio and it's everybody in there, Curtis Blow and this motherfucker and all that, you know what I'm saying? But enough to say, man, learn about that too, man.
Right.
Learn your history and pay, and not, you don't have to pay homage by kicking a rhyme or something, but just know that there was somebody before you as well. Like, I don't shit on anybody from radio beforehand. I don't try not to shit on anybody from life beforehand.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm hoping that we continue to take care of this thing called hip hop, man.
How do white people be good hip hop citizens? Like, what's required? Because when I look at my time in hip hop, it's like certain examples of people who just do a really great job of getting respect from the culture as a whole. And I can also think of other white people who have just absolutely been trashed by the culture and it doesn't work out for.
It's so big now that I think that it belongs to everybody. You know what I'm saying? It belongs to everybody now. Some people gonna love that answer. Some people gonna hate it. Was it a for us, by us? Is it just us, or whatever you want? Whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? But it belongs to everybody now. I just are there some people that's misusing it? Yeah, but does it come with a shade? Does it come with a hue? Does it come with a color? People taking care of hip hop and fucking up hip hop in all shades right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel even sitting down with you, Adam, that you take care of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, do you talk to a lot of the young motherfuckers and they come in fucked up, but you ain't leaning these motherfuckers before they come in, and you know what I'm saying, and say, hey, you know, so
they always ask me if I have drugs, and I'm always like, no, and also I feel kind of uncomfortable about you asking me that.
Yeah, you ain't got nothing here, you know what I'm saying, like, and then somebody else gonna run up in this motherfucker. You know?
Imagine if those are stash houses would not be good.
Oh my God, can you? I wouldn't even be here. Can you imagine we both got raided? I'm like,
God.
shit. Then I have to Tekashi 6ix9ine you, like, oh my God,
man.
I saw the whole stash. I couldn't believe it. I'd be testifying against you.
It's in front with the
like,
sodas.
Yeah, hell yeah, easy call.
Yeah. But so, yeah, like...
that was a little pause right there. Huh?
But you say like, you know, you feel like it belongs to everyone as a whole, but do you sometimes see that maybe like an overreaction in a sense where certain people feel like there's been too much of influence and black people don't have enough of a say or enough control? There's always got to be that fear that outside interests are going to sort of inherit and corrupt the culture.
Yeah, but
right?
we've been seeing that for years. You know what I'm saying?
From day one, hip-hop's labels have been all white men.
All white labels, all white managers. I think now that we're starting to see even more so, we're starting to see where we're generating the dollars. You know what I'm saying? Where we're making the deals. Where even if it is, you know, we doing our own streaming, we doing our own shows, we doing it because you need the machine, but you don't need that machine.
Right.
Remember back in the days, Adam, everybody, I got to be on Def Jam. Now people are like, I don't have to be on Def Jam.
Right.
I got to be on such and such. No, I don't have to be.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think at one point I think that we were being used, so-called being used more than now. You know what I'm saying? There's still, you know, you still want to see people that get on, you know, and it's still monopolizing and it's still controlled. Just like when we see what's going on with the, even with the weed game. You know, what used to be, you know, some street level shit. Then now, you know, once, you know, we starting to get it legalized, and then all these big ass companies gonna come in that got the money and got the influence, and they're gonna own it. The same way we saw hip hop. Hip hop, where it was created, however you feel like it really was created, you know, whatever block, you know, whatever borough, then once it got here, somebody else started to control it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that we saw that early on. But now I'm looking at companies and I'm looking at people that's kind of taking their own, you know, taking their own careers into their own hands and doing their own merch and doing their own streaming and doing, I think we got a little bit more of a ownership on. But with that being said too, I think that a lot of people are getting in the game a little bit easier as well. And I think that's where people have that's not real music, or they didn't pay no dues, and they, you know, but I mean, we at a sign of the time.
I feel like to a certain extent that there's more power in the hands of the artists at this point. I remember I was in the studio with a label, and they were going to have a meeting with Lil Xan before he signed, and you know, he's managed by Stat Quo, and I was listening to Stat Quo have a conversation with the label where he was basically telling the label, like, in more polite words than this, but more or less it was like, fuck you, we don't need you.
Yes.
We need many millions of dollars to sign because we know that we have the power right now and you guys want it. And there's 5 other labels that are hollering at us right now. So like, just seeing him flex that muscle and realizing that the power was in his hands,
dude,
that was really cool.
We don't need you. And that even goes to now radio. You know what I'm saying? Like, I see that a lot, where back in the days, you got the Jay-Z's and the this and that's of the world. You know what I'm saying? And now you know, there's some people, they don't do interviews anymore. You know,
that's an interesting thing that's happened.
Yeah. Or even like now, dude, I still haven't gotten fucking Travis Scott in there. I can get Travis Scott on the phone, but I can't get him in the studio.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's become that too. Like, you know, it's crazy because I've even had people, Adam, that I had on, and oh man, Big, I need to get on. And we get them in, and we do this. And then the next thing you know, these motherfuckers go a little bit more or blow up, and then they don't, you know, don't come in anymore.
I remember when
turn on Ellen, they on fucking Ellen for the culture. You know what I'm saying?
I remember when I first started getting into doing this, that somebody, like a journalist or whatever, they said to me, because I was trying to get Lil Uzi Vert and 21 Savage, and I was having a hard time getting them early on, and somebody told me, like, yo, I remember a year ago, 21 and Lil Uzi were thirsty for coverage. And they're like, you know, just keep in mind how fucking quick shit changes.
Yeah, man.
Because that happens really quick.
I literally tell artists, like, hey, man, hopefully I'll see you again. You know what I'm saying? Like real shit, because you just don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You just don't know. And then with your influence now, dude, like, you're bigger than the so-called label. you make more sense to the direct audience that these people are trying to get at than, you know what I'm saying? Like there's some people say, oh man, go do Kimmel. I'll be like, nah, fuck that. Go do No Jumper. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but real talk, at a certain point in their career, and a lot of labels realize this, is that early on, you probably want that underground look. And like a real mainstream look for you as an artist early on is probably going to be a really bad look, because it's going to make you look too corporate. Because now the labels are all convinced with fooling the audience into thinking that these industry plant type rappers are authentic. And the thing about the industry plant title now is just that the labels are smarter. So talented artists are getting signed super early, so it feels like people are industry plants.
Are there interviews you won't do?
Yeah,
or
definitely.
when you do interviews just to do, not be like, oh, I gotta do them, but would you do an interview to like feel like, okay, I just want to talk to this person, or they're just something that you're like, man, I ain't gonna do that shit. Like,
I mean, there's definitely people that I just think are so whack that I wouldn't want anything to do with them. But I mean, a lot of people I think are kind of whack, but at the same time, it's interesting. And and really, it's like, if they're gonna be popular, then they have a story that's probably worth telling. If people want to hear it, even if I think it's corny, it's like, but that's also me. I'm trying to wrap my head around people. I'm trying to understand what the hell they're doing or what they're working on here.
How do you tell someone no?
Man, my favorite thing to say when people come up to me on the streets, like, how do I get an interview? I just say, man, you got to get cracking in the streets. And they're like, what's that mean? I'm like, you got to get your music popular.
Yeah.
And they're like looking at me like, well, obviously that's not going to happen.
Right, yeah. But that's what I'm coming to you for. You know what I'm saying?
I'm like, no. You got to get a popular song. Bare minimum, give me a song with a couple million views or something.
One thing people really, they feel like, man, they do your show, they go.
Yeah.
And I get the same thing with radio, like, big, all we gotta do is get in. And I'm like, shit. Like, you gotta give me something too. You know what I'm saying?
If I do an interview with you right now, it's gonna get, 10,000 views and nobody's gonna watch it going forward, and that's it. It's like, you have to have some kind of momentum before you get an interview.
Gotta have some this and that.
Yeah,
it's definitely got to be this and
definitely
that.
got to be something to talk about. And if I were rappers, a lot of them who want interviews, that's what I would be thinking, is like, how do I reverse engineer this situation? How do I become newsworthy to the point where people want to interview me regardless? And that's what leads a lot of people to faking shit.
And that's what I tell people too. I say, man, you know what, man? Go over here and do what you do, and then you will get our attention. You know what I'm saying? And then it feels a lot better. I've had artists that, I remember I had DC Young Fly on, right? And DC Young Fly, comedian, he's also an artist, does well, got movies, everything, And I don't read DMs. I just had him probably 2 months ago, if that, probably a little bit longer. I saw a DM from him from 2014. Wow. But at 2014, for one, I don't check DMs, but 2014, we probably wasn't ready to sit down. You know what I'm saying? But that dude kept his work going. Yeah. And then that motherfucker kicked my door in. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? No pun intended with what just happened to you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, easy to understand. No, that happens all the time, where Lil Yachty signed to QC, and then I was reading an article, like an interview with Coach K and Yachty, and Yachty said, like, I DM'd you before you ever signed me, and Coach K goes into his DMs and sees the old DM just sitting there, and he didn't even know.
Sorry.
I know, that's kind of a scary thing with me, because when I do these live streams, I'll listen to so many young artists that sometimes I miss them. I missed Megan Thee Stallion. I saw it on live stream. I thought it was cool, but I didn't follow up on it. And when I think about it now, it's like, you would have been wise to have followed up. Like, you have to pay more attention. You have to get better at being able to spot this talent.
There's so much out there too. You know what I'm saying?
Challenge.
There's so much, man. And then it's like, how much time do you give everything? You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes, bro, there could be a flame over here that we don't recognize, but then, we recognize the fire. You know what I'm saying? So there's sometimes where I meet somebody, and anybody that tell me this, like, hey, bro, I'm going to sit with you one day, I believe it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I believe it. But I can't always know every song. There's so many artists, man. There's so, not even just the Lils. There's just so many artists that I would be lying to you to sit here and say, I know them all. They're all on my radar and all that shit. It's like, man, I'm trying to be a dad. Yeah. I'm a husband. You know what I'm saying? And I don't have all this fucking time.
Is that a concern for you, is like being able to create that balance? Because like for me right now, I'm still kind of at the point where, I get up at 8 in the morning, and like last night I got home at 2:30 in the morning, and I was working the whole time, and I feel great about it. It was honestly like one of the best days I've had. Like, I just felt so productive, and that made me really happy. And I always am thinking about that, like when I have kids or when I have more stuff going on in my life that is separate from my career, how will I create that balance?
You don't have kids now?
No.
I'm going to tell you, bro. I
got
saw
a
you in
cat.
Australia and everything too. Was that your queen?
Yes.
Yeah. Travel, do everything that you can do. Everything. Because when you have kids, you'll say, man, what was I doing before I had my kids? Was life important? And once you get your kids, you'll understand it's a whole different kind of hustle.
Yeah.
But what you do right now, man, continue to hustle. I got a wife, I got kids, and I love it, but I got to live through you too. You know what I'm saying? I can't tell you how many fucking times I looked at your picture when you was in Australia, and I was like, damn, I wish I could just go. You know what I'm saying? But no, you know. But the one thing about it, man, is that you are a provider and taking care of so many. You got so many kids.
Right.
That you do take care of.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So how do you got to even divide that? You got to divide, being business enough, being social enough, being, personable enough, being a personality. Like there's being a friend, homie. There's a lot of shit that you already dividing your time with, man. Like people think that they want the Adam22 but I want that. But no, you got to take it all. You know what I'm saying? You got to take everything. If you want a little bit of me, you got to take all of me. You know, people think like, oh man, I want to have. No, you don't want my job.
Yeah.
Because you don't want your brother dying last year. You don't want your mom being dead. You don't want to. You got to take it all. If you want a little bit, you got to take it all. It's not a buffet. You got to take the entree.
That's facts.
Hello.
This is one of the main things I want to talk to you about before we wrap this up. Is at some point within the last few years, you flexed your muscles and you switched stations up. You switched your whole position. Like what motivated you to do that, and to what extent was it important for you to have more control over your content, your catalog? I noticed you have your own YouTube channel at this point and everything.
It was, man. It was, to me, Adam. It was time. You know what I'm saying? And it was just one of those things where you say, what do I do for me and my family? At one point, man, you went real hard for the brand. You went real hard for the team. And then you get to a point where it's like, damn, things are feeling different. And what move do you make that's for you and that's for your family? And that's the move that I made when I switched radio stations. You know what I'm saying? When I left Power 106, man, I loved Power. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't, I was like, oh, I'm out of here. These motherfuckers treat me wrong. I just saw something that was coming and I felt like it's time. The world is changing and you got to go. I've been offered to leave radio stations my whole career. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of people in radio, they just are bouncing around their whole career. You've been weirdly consistent.
And I was at Power for 21 years. Wow. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like I was going to retire my jersey with Power as well. It's just that certain things, happen in your life. And I never, there's a song by Lloyd, and I'm going to mess it up, man. When he say, disappeared from the team, left my old... Disappeared from the team or the scene, disappeared from the scene, left my old team. Had to find a new approach to an old dream. But it's not to take a shot at my old team. So that's what I had to do. I had to disappear from the scene. They got me off of air for a little bit, and I just had to kind of just assess and it's not a shot at my old team, but I had to find a new approach to an old dream. And that's the main thing that I had to do, man, was get up and say, okay, you know what, man, what are you going to do for you, your family, your longevity, your sanity, for your everything? And it was time. Right.
Was it important for you to basically like have more ownership over your content, or what was the goal in particular?
The content, without a lot of the legal shit, I owned anyway. Right. You know what I'm saying? I owned it anyway, but it came with a price. You know what I'm saying? They don't just give you a shit. You know what I'm saying? So it was more of like, how do I continue this brand? You know what I'm saying? How do I continue this brand? And it's company to company. I don't own fucking Real 92.3. I don't own iHeart. You know what I'm saying? So it was company to company. Which one do I feel like now in this part of my career that I could get a little bit more longevity? Which one of these, do I feel is, if I'm going to ride out into the sunset? You know what I'm saying? Because it's all going to come to an end at some point. Yeah. It's just about, how do you continue to have your ownership and your sanity, and you know what I'm saying, and be respected in the buildings and shit like that.
You still dealing with that lawsuit?
Nah.
No, it's over.
Yeah, that's
because I saw $3.5 million. I'm like, that's a lot of money, even for Big Boy.
Yeah, hell yeah, it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. And you know, it's a trip, man. I got to a point where, you know, without going into a lot of the legal stuff, man, you know, I had taken pay. It was a lot. It was a lot. You know what I'm saying? It was a lot.
They're flexing because the radio world has changed so much that, you know, at a certain point they got to work their leverage. Huh?
And anybody that know, man, that really know, I did this. You know what I'm saying? I was quiet.
You were a soldier.
Yeah, I was very quiet, bro. You know what I'm saying? And they were probably quiet too. You know what I'm saying? So it worked out. The one thing I knew, that if I left Power, that Power wasn't going to blow up without me.
Right.
I just had to make sure that I didn't blow up without them. Like, and I mean, like, over.
Right.
You know, I wasn't gonna leave them, and they was gonna be like, "Oh well, Big left." Like,
how long they bench you for?
I was on bench for like a month.
Was it a weird month? Was that the longest you've gone without being on the radio?
That was man. I mean,
start to feel like you're losing your identity.
Oh
a
man,
little
I
bit?
was at the house doing the show by myself and shit. You know what I'm saying? Had my daughter stuffed animals and shit around, like, big boy, you growing a beard and shit with a robe on. Had coffee I don't even fucking drink. Like, you know, like my wife was like, "Baby, shower." What? For what? I got nowhere to go.
I went on vacation with my girl in December for like 3 weeks.
Oh,
and,
man.
you know, and I'm in Japan too, which is kind of weird because I couldn't really talk to anybody besides her. And, I started to really like kind of feel that. Like I'm starting to forget who I am.
Man.
And like, you know, because you forget that you're constantly reinforcing your ego. Even when I'm hanging out in the front of the store and taking a bunch of pictures and stuff, sometimes it feels a little annoying. But that's the stuff that like reminds you who you
Hell
are.
yeah.
Being out there away from everything, I started to almost forget.
And I was doing, like, I still had my syndicated show. So I was still going to go do my syndicated show every day. But I got used to getting in the same elevator for 21 years.
Oh, man.
I got used to getting off the same floor for 21 years.
Yeah.
I got used to the same studio for multiple years and the same people.
Yeah.
So at some point when you leave on a Friday and they say, "Oh, no, you can't come back," you're like, "Oh, the fuck?"
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it is a kind of like, oh shit, you know.
Yeah.
But it also sets you out that to let you learn in life, bro. Like, when I lost my mom, that let me know I can live without anything. You know what I'm saying?
Is that the most pain you ever been through?
The most pain I've ever been through, homie.
I live in fear of that.
Yeah, you know,
daily.
and it's a fucked up club to be in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when I lost my mom, that let me realize that I could live without anything. You know what I'm saying? Now that I have kids, it's not about living without anyone, but I could live without. I can get up and I can get up because I never thought that I can get up without my mom. So can I get up without this and that? And they're like, hell yeah, I can get the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna get up. Only thing I need is for God to wake me up. But if God wake me up, I'm gonna get out of bed.
Right.
And that's the way I was. You know, I was like, shit is different, but I don't get up.
Wow. What is your productivity level like? Like, you're creating a huge amount of content every day, doing the radio show, the syndicated show. Like, what time do you wake up and when are you going till?
I get up at like 3:30. I get up at 3:30. That's why when you said I got up at 8, I was like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, 8's early to
I
me.
was like, that's fucking, but you went to sleep at 2:30.
Right, but
You know
I
what I'm saying?
say this as a person who was waking up at noon for like the majority of my
man.
life until the past few years.
Dude, when I didn't do mornings,
Yeah.
people knew they couldn't even call my house before 11 o'clock.
Right, yeah.
And I remember, man, you remember the Baker Boys?
I do.
Baker Boys was the one who got me my radio gig, right?
Oh.
And I remember I would get up in the morning because I did the nights, and I would look and it'd be like 7:30, and I'd be like, fuck, the Baker Boys are at work right now. Like, that's fucking sucks. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And now I'm the guy that's getting up at like 3:30 in the morning and shit. And
Right.
I get up, we try to make it into the station like in the 5 o'clock hour. Then I record any other stuff that I have to do for like my national show, you know, then I go live at about 6. And we sign off at about 9:40, 9:45, 10 o'clock on air, but live we about 9:45.
Okay.
Any interviews that I have, so what I do is post production, any recordings, commercials, and then I start my interviews like around 10:15.
Okay.
Then, you know, anything after that is production, work, meetings, all that kind of shit. You know, so I try to be home. If I can, it depends. If I try to be home by like 3, 4 o'clock every day.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But then there's other shit where it's like, you know,
Yeah.
there's days, you know, I could be out the station if I wanted to at 11.
Yeah.
But that can't be every day. People think, you know, like, man, y'all off at 10 and then you have your whole day. Like, no, I don't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because I'm constantly working. I'm constantly
If you got a big chunk of empty hours in the day, then you got to fill that up with whatever you can do.
And people make sure they fill it up for you. I fill it up.
Yeah.
You know, then there's times I look at my calendar like, what the fuck I put all this on my calendar for? You know what I'm saying? Like, shit. But you know what? It's like, man, I enjoy what I do. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy people. I enjoy being out. You know what I'm saying? I enjoy big boy. I love all that shit, man. So it's
if you're
like
still
I
in
never
love with
get
your
up.
own ad libs, that's a good
Yeah,
sign.
you know what I'm saying? Big boy. But like, I don't get up. You know, and of course you get up like, damn, it's early. But I don't get up and say, man, fuck, I gotta go to radio.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I gotta go to work and entertain people and shit. You know, I enjoy what I do. And there's a lot of people who can say they do, and there's a lot of people who don't enjoy what they do.
Definitely.
So I take it as a blessing, man. Is it hard? Hell yeah. Is it trying? Hell yeah. Is it hours different? Yeah. There's a lot of shit that I can tell you what's wrong with it.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't take none of that and throw it all away and say, I'm done.
You know, I was reading an interview with, I think, Jay Leno, and they're asking him what the key to his success of being on the air for, you know, dozens and dozens of years was and stuff. And he said, like, the trick is the first 7 years of like being consistent with creating a show or a piece of content or whatever. And I just thought like that put it in perspective for me so much, is that like whatever's going on right now is irrelevant. This is about keeping it going. And if you really want to be great in entertainment or the industry or whatever, it's like, that's what it's about. It's not about your day-to-day failures. It's about having that strength to keep doing the same thing over and over and over. Not always the same thing. You got to evolve and adapt and everything, but to just keep going.
And you have to. And I'm telling you, man, it's like, even with me, I've been with iHeart and Real for the last 4 years. Adam has seen that 4 years went like that. You know what I'm saying? So you got to constantly reinvent yourself. You know, you got to see what that next wave is. What I do is I try to work 6 months to a year in advance. You know what I'm saying? If somebody say, oh, there's a movie, I'm like, when does it come out? Oh, it comes out in November. So I know, okay, I do it today. Then November, I got another project that's going to pop. You know what I'm saying? So I always try to stay ahead of myself. And now, even when you sat down with my artist, Tay F. Third, man, I'm like on, you know, low hanging fruit. Like, music for me, I broke so many artists. I've interviewed so many artists that with me, low hanging fruit is like, okay, well, you know what? Not because, you know, I should have always did this. I just feel like it's the time now to start big boy music. And that's why I've paid a lot of tuition to the School of Experience. I've seen a lot of shit and I'm like, okay. You know what I'm saying? And it takes somebody special to get next to.
Is Tay the first person that you've actually been confident enough that you wanted to sign him or you wanted to help develop their career?
No, not at all. You know, Tay's whatever to me. It's his buddy that, you know, that I really wanted, but it's just hard to shake Tay and get his homie Big Rome.
Oh, okay.
You know,
yeah.
Once I get Tay out the way, then the real artist is Big Rome.
Okay.
Tay, you know what I'm saying?
Well, that's good to know.
Tay was drinking something at the station this morning. I don't know what it was. Looked like lean. No, Tay was one of those cats, man, where Tay, you know, he from Long Beach, and Tay F. Third was just somebody that I saw early on.
Right.
Then the jerk. Are there people that I felt like, oh man, he's a better writer. Okay, but he's a package. And I see Tay F. Third, I see the dude as a star. Like, I like his energy. I like being around him. I like this motherfucker got tattoos of himself.
Yeah.
Who the fuck does that? You know what I'm saying? Like, multiple tattoos of themselves. You know what I'm saying? So just a dude from Long Beach, man, he's been loyal to the soil, that he's been next to me, and I'm like, man, you know what? You continue to work. And this motherfucker, even the last year of seeing how he just kind of pulled himself back and the way that he got back into a zone. You know what I'm saying? Because shit wasn't popping for him with big boy music. He stayed he stayed loyal to the soil, and he stayed next to me. And he redefined and refined and got his shit together. And now, you know, the little dude is going, man.
I'm blushing right now.
You should be blushing.
Do you ever...
you off mic? Thank you, Tay. Jesus Christ. I do radio. You think you know better than this?
Big boy?
Yeah.
Do you ever worry about Tay getting you wrapped up in the shenanigans? Because he's been known. I've seen videos of him handing out fades on the internet. Does that worry you at all?
You know what, man? As long as the fades stay with him, Tay got a circle around him too. You know what I'm saying? And it's not just Long Beach. It's not this. It's not that. You know what I'm saying? Like, if anybody, I don't take it on and I don't ask for it. You know what I'm saying? But Tay is not offensive. You probably may see some things, and it's not offensive, his defense is immaculate because the motherfuckers he got around him.
He's defending all the Crips worldwide.
No, not even the Crips. I'm talking about there's a cat by the name of Brother Steve.
Okay.
He got a circle around him. You know what I'm saying? So when I see Tay fighting Trippie Redd, I'm like, man, what the fuck you doing? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm at my birthday party. He fight 03 Greedo. I'm like, dude, are you trying to fight all the rappers? Shit, you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Seeing him fighting his homie. I mean, but those are growing pains. You know what I'm saying?
I would love to hear about the conversation that led to a fight with Greedo. That's got to be interesting.
It was probably, I think Greedo said Watts and you know, no. It was we
You gotta tell me after this.
We were all together, man, and I'm looking and I'm seeing Greedo jumping over shit. And I'm like, oh, him and Tay fighting. We came together.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Because early on, Greedo was with Big Boy Music, and
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
okay, here we go.
Yeah, man. So it happened. You know,
Wow.
but when I do, I just with Tay. I tell him, even when him and Trippie Redd had the situation, you know, anybody else would have taken that Trippie Redd shit and exploited it. You know what I'm saying? And we talk about it. We shut it down. We shut him down. And we was like, hey, you know, but Tay gonna be Tay. He was on Instagram and all that shit. But where somebody else could have taken that, they could have got all these views and they could have did this and did that. And I said, man, you don't want to be the dude that fought Trippie Redd. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, get your music together. And be Tay after the artist. You know what I'm saying? Still protect yourself. Still protect your hood and rep where you from and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? But let's not let that be the reason why everybody's clicking. Because there's a lot of clickbait that goes on. At one point, I do think like, damn, should we have wrote that shit?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I was like, fuck it.
That's
you know
always the decision to make. Something bad happens to you, and you got to decide to what extent you want to exploit
and then
it.
when I had, you know, this time Trippie Redd is one of my best interviews too. You know what I'm saying? But that was also Tay saying, yeah, man, big, you know, boss man, interview him. You know what I'm saying? Because Tay could have shut it down just on some group, some homie shit. Like, hey, big, it ain't a good look.
Yeah.
But I told him, I said, hey, no, big, do that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever he had with Trippie Redd wasn't about, you know, him trying to step in on my shit. That was they shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That wasn't an our shit. You know, that was they shit. Then Tay was like, man, go ahead and do that interview, man. I ain't tripping off that shit.
Well, that's good that you're even taking input on that kind of thing.
Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying?
Big Boy's still loyal to the soil.
In a sense. No, you know, I ain't gonna die with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying?
You're not gonna leave the house at 3 a.m. if he needs your help?
Yeah, I will.
Oh, you will? Okay.
Yeah. Depending on what he need my help for, though.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I'm gonna ask, like, hey, what's going on?
If he just bought a bunch of food at the grocery store and you need somebody to help get it out to the
that.
car?
No. Nah. You know what I'm saying? You carry that shit one by one, homie. You bought a 6-pack, you got 6 trips. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't fucking with you. You know what I'm saying? If some real shit, I'm there, man.
For sure, man. Hey, so let the people out there know where to go if they want to keep up on you, if they are somehow in the dark. And I just want to say, it's such an honor to have some, because you're inspiring me on a daily basis to keep going.
Hey, man,
keep
do you
running.
remember that time we called up via text or and he was like, man, I was like, man, I love what you do. He was like, oh shit, this is crazy. It's an honor. I love what you do too, man. I've always been a fan of Outkast.
Listen, I got added by Big Boy and I didn't even click the name to make sure to realize which Big Boy it was. I just assumed it was the other one, even though I was already following both Big Boys.
No,
for the record.
And I totally believe, because we had that conversation too. You
know dirty what I'm moment. I was hoping we could get through this without exposing that.
So I was hoping we can get through without talking about the lawsuit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Where's Andre 3000?
No, it's okay, yeah.
But hey, Tay, come over here. Just show your face real quick,
my
man.
man Tay over here.
This is my man Tay F3rd, man. This is my artist right here, man. Poppy, come on over here. This is my other artist, Poppy Gordo. This is the one that I told you. This is the one that's gonna buy me the island.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
So this is the real talent here.
Yeah, this is the real talent right here. Do you have a camera that can zoom out a little bit? He's putting on some weight.
He's gonna need that surgery you got.
Hey, be nice. You know what I'm saying? Y'all didn't hear him.
No, he's carrying it well.
Yeah.
No, it looks good. Yeah,
it does. It look good on you.
Grown
you know
and
what I'm
sexy.
saying?
Pause,
sexy
pause.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well,
hey,
that was
the world's need BBWs, you know?
Yeah, as we should, and we got them. Man, we got them, man. But
no,
it's a pleasure
Drake.
to be on here with you, man.
Oh,
This shit
man,
is crazy.
Thank you so much, bro. Honestly, this is
I'll be
good.
back tomorrow.
This is good for LA, I think, is that we got a little bit of the prior generation and the younger generation. I hate calling myself young. I don't feel young at all. But.
Right. Well, I don't consider you young either, but if you feel like you are, then you know what can I do? You know, no. Do you put your age out?
Yeah, 35.
Oh man, you are young, man. Yeah. Well, you're not younger than some of these other people, the people that's watching.
Listen, like if you could be a good on-air commentator and you're in your early 20s or whatever, that is a very rare situation? Because I feel like it takes people time to get really good at talking.
Dude, I was so good early on.
See, that's what you're saying. That you got
Now
that
I'm
gig
fraudulent.
early.
Now,
Now
you know
you're
what I'm saying? I'm
fried.
like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Oh, but back in the days,
So
that was good.
Let me ask you this: do you hit the
Hold
backwood?
on, is that my phone, Jose? You just recording shit? Do I hit the backwood? I don't smoke at all.
Ever?
I don't. No, I don't smoke. I never smoked in my life.
Never?
Nah,
Wow.
I never smoked in my life. I don't drink nothing. I got drunk one time.
Yeah.
One time.
When was that?
It was Christmas Eve, 1994.
Holy shit! And what happened that was so bad that you never want to do it again?
It was me and my ex at the time. You know what I'm saying? And I did one of those like, fuck it, I'm just gonna try it.
Yeah.
You know, so we went and got, it's 1994. So we went and got all the death row drinks. We got Alizé,
Wow.
gin and juice. You know what I'm saying?
I love
Anything that
this.
I heard in hip hop.
Yeah.
So I'm pounding shit and I'm like, man, this is nothing. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, dude, and I'm really thinking like, I can do this shit. I'm at the house. I could do this shit out in the club. Next thing I know, Adam, felt like somebody ran from behind me and just jumped in my head.
Yeah.
I was fucked up. And I experienced everything, every emotion. I was looking in the mirror crying. So I'm the motherfucker you want to be around.
Yeah.
I don't think you want to be around drunk big boy crying and
I
shit.
don't wanna
Like,
know
what
what
the
that's
fuck?
like.
Like holding onto the sink crying and shit. And then I was trying to sex my ex at the time, right? And my neighbor, I lived in my apartment, was knocking on the wall. And I remember I told my girl, I said, hey, go get my gun. I said, I'm going to go shoot this motherfucker in his face.
Some people shouldn't drink.
Yeah, I said, I'm going to knock on the door, and when they answer the door, I'm going to shoot him in his fucking face.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's better that I don't drink.
Luckily, she took control, or you just
Yeah,
had
she
that?
didn't give me the gun. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so I'm just not that guy. I never smoked weed in my life, so you know what I'm saying. But
You just reminded me that, like, pretty much my first time getting drunk, I impregnated a random girl off MySpace.
are you serious?
Yeah. And she called me 6 months later and said that she just got rid of it. And I was like,
Oh,
thank you, God.
shit.
And right now she's thinking, God, I could be rich if I
Hell
just
yeah,
had that
she's
kid.
like, that's him? You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck? Like, oh.
She's like, man, I wish I let that one
Damn,
through.
you was probably like, once MySpace was gone, you was probably like, Jesus Christ, yeah.
Yeah.
That thing will fuck your life up.
Yeah, for real.
Damn. And you was faded?
I was drunk as shit off wine from Walmart.
Yeah, see, there it is, man.
And I was in Florida.
See, that Florida, Walmart, and MySpace never mix. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be careful,
There's
man.
a lot of buzzwords right there.
Man, it is a pleasure to sit down with you, though.
I appreciate you so much, man. Thank you for
Easy
real.
call, man. Thank you so much, man.
To everybody watching this, we are going to be back interviewing Haha Davis on live in a
Hello.
couple of hours.
I'm staying around.
Yeah, hey, just let me know.
Easy call.
Big Boy in the Morning, amazing.
Thank you, man. You can catch me on Real 92.3. You can catch me at RadioBigBoy.com. Instagram, I'm at BIGBOY. Cleverly hid myself there, so you can search for me right there. Big
There you
Boy,
go.
there it is.
Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate
Thank you
you,
so
man.
much for coming in.
Thank you for
It's
having
a
us
huge
on.
honor. Thank you very much to everybody who watched this. I appreciate you all. Stick around. We will be back later today. Big Boy.
You work.
Appreciate you, man.
Hello.
Hey.